The history of the United Kingdom is one of continuous change, marked by periods of conquest, conflict, consolidation, and cultural evolution. From its prehistoric roots to the formation of a global empire, and its current role as a major player on the world stage, the UK's past is as complex as it is fascinating. Ancient and medieval history. Prehistoric Britain, Mesolithic to Bronze Age, circa 10,000 BC, 800 BC. The earliest known inhabitants of what is now the United Kingdom were hunter-gatherers who arrived in the region around 10,000 BC, during the Mesolithic era. The landscape of Britain at this time was vastly different. It was still connected to the European mainland via a land bridge known as Doggerland, which was submerged around 6,500 BC due to rising sea levels. During the Neolithic period, circa 4000 BC to 2500 BC, significant developments occurred, such as the construction of megalithic structures, including the famous Stonehenge. This period saw the introduction of farming, which gradually replaced the hunter-gatherer lifestyle. The beaker culture, known for their distinctive pottery, arrived around 2500 BC, bringing with them skills in metalworking, which heralded the beginning of the Bronze Age. Roman Britain, 43 AD to 410 AD. The Romans first attempted to invade Britain in 55 and 54 BC under Julius Caesar, but it wasn't until 43 AD that Emperor Claudius successfully conquered the territory. The Romans established a province called Britannia, which included most of present-day England and Wales but failed to conquer Scotland, where they built Hadrian's Wall in 122 AD to defend against the Picts. Roman Britain thrived with the development of cities such as Londinium, London, Eboracum, York, and Aqua Sulis, Bath. The Romans introduced new technologies, architecture, and a sophisticated road network, many parts of which still influence British infrastructure today. The Roman occupation lasted until 410 AD, when Roman forces withdrew to defend their own crumbling empire against invasions closer to home. Anglo-Saxon Britain and Viking invasions, 410 AD to 1066 AD. After the Roman departure, Britain entered a period of turmoil and fragmentation. Various Germanic tribes, the Angles, Saxons, and Jutes, migrated to the island, gradually conquering the native Celtic tribes and establishing a series of small kingdoms. This era is known as the Heptarchy, referring to the 7 principal Anglo-Saxon kingdoms: Northumbria, Mercia, East Anglia, Essex, Kent, Sussex, and Wessex. The Anglo-Saxon period was marked by frequent conflict, the spread of Christianity, and significant cultural developments, including the epic poem Beowulf. However, from the late 8th century, the Vikings began their raids, leading to the establishment of the Danelaw in parts of England. The Anglo-Saxons, under Alfred the Great of Wessex, resisted the Viking invasions and eventually regained much of their territory. The consolidation of these kingdoms continued under Alfred's successors, culminating in Thelston's reign in 927 AD, when he became the first king to rule over a unified England. The Norman Conquest, 1066 AD. The death of Edward the Confessor in 1066 without an heir led to a succession crisis, culminating in the Norman Conquest of England by William the Conqueror, Duke of Normandy. After his victory at the Battle of Hastings, William was crowned King of England, marking the beginning of the Norman era. The Normans introduced feudalism, built numerous castles for defense and control, and commissioned the Domesday Book, an extensive survey of the land and its resources. The conquest also led to significant cultural and linguistic changes, as Old English absorbed many Norman French words, forming the basis of the English language we know today. Early modern history. The Plantagenet and Tudor dynasties, 1154 AD to 1603 AD. The Plantagenet dynasty, beginning with Henry II in 1154, oversaw a period of territorial expansion, legal reform, and political conflict. Notable events during this era include the signing of the Magna Carta in 1215 by King John, which limited the power of the monarchy and established principles of legal rights that influenced future democratic developments. The Wars of the Roses, 1455 to 1487, a series of civil wars for control of the English throne, culminated in the rise of the Tudor dynasty under Henry VII. The Tudors, especially under Henry VIII and his daughter Elizabeth I, significantly shaped the UK's political and cultural landscape. Henry VIII's break from the Catholic Church and the establishment of the Church of England in 1534 were pivotal moments that altered the religious structure of the country. The Elizabethan era, known for its flourishing arts, exploration, and the defeat of the Spanish Armada in 1588, also laid the groundwork for England's future imperial ambitions. This period saw the first attempts at English colonization in North America, starting with the failed Roanoke colony in 1585. The union of the crowns and the Stewart Era, 1603 AD to 1714 AD, in 1603, the crowns of England and Scotland were united under James VI of Scotland, who became James I of England. This personal union began a century of political and religious conflict that would reshape the UK. Tensions between the monarchy and Parliament, especially under Charles I, led to the English Civil War, 1642 to 1651, a conflict between royalist and parliamentarian forces. The war ended with the execution of Charles I in 1649, the establishment of the Commonwealth under Oliver Cromwell, and the temporary abolition of the monarchy. The monarchy was restored in 1660 under Charles II, but further tensions culminated in the Glorious Revolution of 1688, which resulted in the deposition of James II and the installation of William III and Mary II as joint monarchs. This revolution established the constitutional monarchy, limiting royal authority and affirming parliamentary sovereignty through the Bill of Rights in 1689. The formation of Great Britain and the British Empire, 1707 AD to 1800 AD. In 1707, the Acts of Union formally united the Kingdom of England, which included Wales, with the Kingdom of Scotland to create the Kingdom of Great Britain. This union was driven by political, economic, and religious motives, aiming to strengthen both countries against foreign threats, particularly from France. The 18th century marked the expansion of British colonial ambitions. The British Empire grew to become one of the largest in history, acquiring territories in North America, the Caribbean, Africa, India, and Asia. The East India Company, chartered in 1600, played a significant role in the British colonization of India and the establishment of trade networks across Asia. During this period, Britain fought several wars, including the War of Spanish Succession, the 7 Years' War, and the American Revolutionary War. The American colonies declared their independence in 1776, marking the beginning of the end for the First British Empire, though Britain's global influence continued to grow. Modern history. The Industrial Revolution and the Victorian Era, 1800 AD to 1901 AD. The Industrial Revolution, beginning in the late 18th century, fundamentally transformed British society and the economy. The UK became the world's leading industrial and commercial power, driven by innovations such as the steam engine, the spinning jenny, and the power loom. This period also saw the rise of new social classes, urbanization, and significant advancements in science, engineering, and medicine. The 19th century was also marked by the long reign of Queen Victoria, 1837 to 1901, whose era saw the expansion of the British Empire to its zenith. By the end of the 19th century, Britain controlled nearly a quarter of the world's land area and a fifth of its population, giving rise to the saying that the sun never sets on the British Empire. However, this period also saw growing tensions and demands for independence in various colonies, as well as significant social and political reforms within Britain itself. World Wars and the decline of the Empire, 1914 AD to 1945 AD. The UK played a central role in both world wars. During World War I, 1914 to 1918, Britain, as part of the Allied powers, fought against the Central Powers, incurring massive human and financial costs. The war led to significant social changes, including the extension of voting rights to women and the beginning of the decline of the British Empire. World War II, 1939 to 1945, further strained Britain's resources. Led by Prime Minister Winston Churchill, the UK was a key member of the Allies and played a crucial role in the defeat of Nazi Germany. However, the war also accelerated the dissolution of the British Empire, as many colonies sought independence in the aftermath of the conflict. Post-war Britain, decolonization, Commonwealth, and the EU, 1945 AD to 2016 AD. After World War II, Britain faced the task of rebuilding its economy and society. The Labour government, elected in 1945, introduced a range of social reforms, including the creation of the National Health Service, NHS, and the expansion of the welfare state. The post-war period also saw the rapid decolonization of the British Empire, with India, the jewel in the crown, gaining independence in 1947, followed by many other colonies in Asia, Africa, and the Caribbean. Britain's global influence shifted from direct colonial rule to a more cooperative relationship with former colonies through the Commonwealth of Nations, an association of countries that shared historical ties with the UK but retained their independence. Meanwhile, Britain joined the European Economic Community, EEC, in 1973, marking the start of its complex relationship with Europe, which culminated in the Brexit referendum of 2016. Contemporary history, Brexit, political changes, and social evolution, 2016 AD, present. The 2016 referendum saw the UK voting by a narrow margin, 52% to 48%, to leave the European Union, a decision that has since dominated British politics. The Brexit process was formally completed on January 31, 2020, bringing about significant changes in trade, immigration, and legal matters. Domestically, the UK has seen a rise in political polarisation, debates over Scottish independence, and concerns about the Northern Ireland Protocol. Social changes have continued, with increasing recognition of multiculturalism, LGBTQ+ rights, and climate change activism. The death of Queen Elizabeth II in 2022 marked the end of an era and ushered in the reign of King Charles III, who faces the challenge of modernising the monarchy in a rapidly changing society.